Alright, hello everyone and welcome to the Blot Talk Podcast, episode 4. We got a bit of a shorter one because absolutely nothing happened over the holidays. Today we're going to be talking about backline diversity, and by that I mean the fact that the only weapon we see is pencil. We're going to talk about turf war meta, and Jared is going to try his hardest to sell everyone here on the fact that we should play competitive turf war while the rest of us talk sense into him. And finally, we'll be talking about the rise of weapons like Range Blaster and Roller, people having bias against them because of Splatoon 2, and the transition between games affecting where weapons are balanced. So that'll be the topics for today, and we're going to start with the shortest and simplest ones with this backline diversity. Currently, pretty much every team that runs a backline runs a pencil. We used to see a lot of heavy, ballpoint, a little bit of V-Jet, a little bit of Flingza, that we don't talk about that era, a bit of E-Leader, and now we pretty much just see pencil. So, Jared, what happened to the other backlines?
It didn't get cooler.
It did not get
other cooler options. Like, nothing really happened to them, it's just other things happen in the game. Which is make pencil more desirable.
That thing has insane paint and insane range. Don't forget that. I get tapped and spawned.
I mean, I think cooler is one thing, but I think one thing pencil has that I've slowly grown to value more is the mobility plus range that it has. Like, the fastest backline you have is like, what, ballpoint, but then its long range mode is slow. It's like probably heavy is one of your fastest backlines. The range gap between heavy and pencil is astronomical. Pencil is the third longest range weapon in the game behind the two E-Leaders, and it strafes insanely fast, even when it doesn't have cooler, let alone when it does have cooler.
It doesn't have the same range as Firefin, I'm like happy.
It's Firefin scope.
It's about the same.
It's scoped.
Firefin scope?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's scoped range.
Yeah, it moves
so it outranges base Firefin.
Nerf it!
Moves as fast as out.
Nerf it!
Has a cooler.
Nerf it. What the fuck?
Damage from across the map.
And then, you know, on top of that is other attributes, like we have the distance pain, you have the 68 damage combos, which are really good, and unlike the other 70 damage weapons of Stamper and Bucket, it has a much faster fire rate. And I think the most extreme, I think Pencil has way too much gear freedom. I look at Pencil builds, the only thing you need is like 2 subs of Main Saver for a 3rd full charge. Everything else I see is just ran for the cooler or ran for the hell of it. Nothing that you actually need. And so Pencil has like the best cooler output and can run more special power, so the coolers from Pencil last longer and you get more of them. And
yeah, Pencil builds, I mean, they could be like all for cooler, and then someone says, well, I guess I could run speed. I mean, I guess I could run a little bit.
They have slots for extra stuff somehow.
They can just put whatever they want.
Yeah, every other weapon is struggling trying to figure out what they should sacrifice for a slot.
Like, I play a range and I've sacked my QR down to 1.1 trying to fit everything else. And then meanwhile, Pencil over here can run a shit ton of charge up at once. And even, like, as much shit as people give Zap, I think Zap is decently gear dependent. I'm actually kind of okay with it. Like, you need some run speed. Sometimes you do a bit of swim speed. Like, last ditcher comeback is a necessity. I kind of see a decent amount of other stuff. In my opinion, though, like, outside of cooler, I think the other issue is that Pencil is really good into most of the other backline options. It's not winning versus Firefin, but you outrange it and you outpaint it, so I think Firefin has to work harder than you. E-Leader doesn't have a special. Flingza sucks. V-Jet gets outranged and outstrafed. The Splatlings have to deal with their worst matchup of Charger, except it also paints. Like, every backline in the game feels like it has a horrible matchup into Pencil, even if you're trying to pick it.
What about the Dynamo players, though?
That ain't even a backline, but that's terrible. I think your best one is, like, Long Rapid or the Jetpack Rapid. But I would argue Jetpack Rapid isn't even a backline, really.
That's not a backline.
That's not a backline. That's a micro
I would call the Long Rapid a backline, but I wouldn't call the short one a backline.
Short one's not a backline.
That's a midline.
Yeah, that's a midline. Sure.
Maybe you can call... I think the blue one can be argued. The long blue one. I hate how... Why are both Rapid Pros the same color scheme, by the way? Could have made it look different. One of them could have been green or something,
No, they saved that for good.
Anyway,
That's...
I think we're all going to agree on this point, but it's something I think is going to be brought up. I don't think you can buff the other backlines to Pencil's level. I think Pencil is what has to be brought down. Do we all agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And another thing about it, like, Edit, edit is close. People think edit is close to pencil, but when you put an edit and a pencil in the same room, the pencil is gonna come out on top.
Edit
every
is
time.
so gear dependent anyways.
Edit
Yeah.
seems really good until you realize what you're going against is pencil.
Exactly.
It's great
exactly.
into zap and try, and like most of the everything else that's ran in comps. I think it's really good matchup wise because we haven't seen like Mini's basically been absent in this game, but Mini's been meta in S1 and S2 at different points for how fast it moves and how well it paints, and then Edit feels like a more situational version of that, and it's good to see it in the game.
Mm-hmm. But it's just outclassed by a charger that can move as fast as the edit.
It's just...
That's not range, better paint output, like it just does everything better.
And I think
Exactly.
Edit's in a good spot, but like, it's the same thing where it's like, it's good until Pencil is there, and I feel like if we toned Pencil back, it would improve the weapon diversity, because all of a sudden all the backlines are pickable, things like Edit are more pickable, and then you can build more different comps around those weapons instead. And like, part of it is also like Pencil's easiest to build comps around, because it takes care of your cooler backline and support in the same option, so your other 3 weapons can be like really flexible. And I think that'll mean that Pencil always sees use, even if it is nerfed. But like, we gotta have it better than this. My opinion for a nerf would be lower it to splat charger range, which would mean less distance pressure, and it paints a little bit less, and then 210p. I would do both. I think that would make it...
What's its current points are special?
I think that would make it work. It's currently at 200p. Red pencil is 210, but blue pencil is 200.
Makes sense.
Explain!
Yeah.
Like,
I
how?
think should be switched.
Oh, there's a cool duration, like cooldown. Is it longer than rain?
Coolers is 10-second cooldown, Rain's is 8 seconds. So yeah, red pencil
guess
has a shorter, like, I guess it's a shorter cooldown, but come on, they
Yeah.
should both be 210.
Yeah.
200 is crazy.
It is.
So that's what I would want to see. I would like to see some changes to backline. I think E-Leader just needs another kit, but Wavebreaker buffs could be helpful. I would like to see, what's it called? I would like to see VJet get a 3rd kit, but that's not happening for a while. And the main backlines we haven't been talking about, Explo. I want to see Explo buffed. Because I think we all kind of forgot Explo is here.
No, I don't think Expo should be buffed.
I think it should be buffed. No
I
bias.
literally don't know what they can do to buff
Don't
it.
look at my Splatoon 2
Yeah.
page. I think shot velocity would be a good one, or object damage. Because Crab, against Crab, you have to direct it, like, shot plus AoE, 6 times to break the Crab. 6 fucking directs in a row to break Crab. Come
I feel
on.
like, dude.
Too much.
Impossible matchup. I think that's the reason why Expo's weak. I think it just loses to every special. And unlike Splatoon 2, it can't huddle into a baller when it gets jetpacked. It actually has to face it. So I think it would help out.
Nah, I think it's buffs. I think... I don't know. I think it needs a 2nd kit. I like Storm, but I don't like Sentinel.
A 2nd kit would be good too, but like, it needs Crab or Booyah, I think. Like, I want it to have some special that can give it a way to live. Technically, maybe Bubble, but I don't like the idea of Bubble on it, but like,
No,
it could
I
be
don't-
selfish.
I think,
whack.
but I think if you put Bubble on it, it wouldn't be worth at all. That guy
Yeah.
just gets attacked immediately. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
it's an
don't-
Expo and a Bubble.
I don't like it on a slow up. Like, point being, I think it needs some way to survive other specials when it's
I can
used
see-
on it.
I could see Booyah working, and I would
Booyah
say
would be
Kraken,
insane
but
with it. Both would be.
I can see Kraken being a thing, but we already have
Oh yeah,
what's the other
Kraken.
one? Blob.
Yeah, I don't think they'd repeat Kraken, because they have Storms repeated on the 2 as well. No way they repeat the 2nd specials too.
Yeah.
Loki would be good with Inkjet too.
I would love it with Inkjet, actually. You could do combos with it. You like 90 someone, pop Jet, and chase them with it. That could be
Yeah.
gross.
That's a lot of damage.
So I mean, there's decent stuff you could do, but like that's what I need Explo to do, in my opinion.
Did we have an Expo meta like in?
In S3, no.
S2,
It has
yeah.
never
No.
happened in S3.
In
It
S2,
was just a decent pick.
No, in two, yeah.
Yeah, we had
That's
Explo
in
meta.
2 we did.
Oh yeah.
We
Do
did?
you not remember
Yeah.
when Explo used to have 40 blast radius and it painted better and it didn't have paint drop off and it was 190p baller instead of 220 and baller
No, I
was a
just remember-
heavyweight baller?
No, I just
Oh.
remember you using it for funsies.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were the only
talking
person that
about-
used it.
No,
Well, I was
pre-nerf
Japan
edits when
used it.
first
People in
came
West just didn't pick it. I don't know why. I
all we
don't
did
know
it.
why nobody in West picked
I was
it.
like
Japan
16,
picked
right?
it. It was good. That's why I got
Oh,
nerfed so
geez.
much.
the pre-nerf bubbles when Explo first came out, holy cow.
Those were good too, but the problem is
Broken.
then you had to deal with pre-patch Ray. Everyone switched to the Baller kit when it came out because that gave you an answer to Ray. Because Ray would just kill you for free. It was nothing you could do. I think I remember some Explos would run like 2-3 subs QSJ to try to jump the spawn whenever they got raid. But like even that didn't work because Ray was...
That was everybody. In
Ray was that good.
Just ran a bunch of US shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, in Splatoon 2, we didn't play Turf War competitively, but now it's Splatoon 3, and we have some new Turf War things to talk about. Like, Red Pencil is doing super well in Turf War.
Oh boy,
so
that's...
should
I don't
we
know
play
if
it?
you're... I don't know if you're selling the mode that well by bringing up Red
I'm
Pencil.
selling the mode. I think Turf War is
To be
really
fair, it was
good.
a one trick. Nobody
World's
else played
only
Red
Red
Pencil.
Pencil
To
fan
be
right
fair,
here.
to be fair, I think that Turf War is a good mode in S3. It cooler encourages so much more fighting from
Oh
mid.
yeah, I'm not the only
and
one.
taking
Yeah.
mid.
Bro, I think I like Turf 4 as well.
Yeah,
I
no,
like
that,
Turf
that was a joke. I think it's more me.
since 2020, but I got shit on for it every single day.
Okay, in 2020. Okay, S2 Turf
Yeah,
War
that was
wasn't
because
good.
we won the... No,
I don't
I
care.
don't... No, do you know why he liked it since 2020? Because we fucking won a turf tournament! I was on... We were on the same team! I know what you're talking about!
I like Turf 4 anyway. I thought it was a cool mode.
And that one
Everyone
totally didn't change
frowned on
anything.
No, I liked it all the time. Everyone was like, nah, Turf 4 sucks, Turf 4
Switching
sucks.
up, bro.
Okay, but I mean, I think the main argument people have for Turf War now is most of it comes down to Cooler is kind of saving Turf War. So Jared, do you want to talk a little bit about Cooler and Turf War? Let's get some
Okay.
perspective on for the newbies to this discussion.
The most obvious like thing is like, oh, you won't lose in the last 30 seconds if you have Cooler, because Cooler just shortens the respawn. So it's like, oh, I died in the last 30. There's still a chance I can win. Or like literally, it's literally just that. It's like the only reason why I like it that much.
You also,
Isn't-
I mean, retaining your special is the huge part of that. Like, if you die with strikes in the last 30 seconds, but you have cooler, okay, walk back into mid, have special, let's push mid with the special within the last 30 seconds. Super doable.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's fair the entire game. Like, if you're just rotating cores and stuff, like, there's still advantages to having, like, better map control, but it always feels like you can win without, like, having it feel cheesy. It feels fair. It doesn't feel like Plan Blitz every week, where it feels like I'm getting cheese when I lose.
I mean,
There's more risk coming out of it, and you don't get punished as badly.
There's not even no mercy, it's less risk. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's my bad.
I think it has like that zones feature of there is no centralized objective, and so a lot more stuff can happen, as well as it's a lot harder to... Like, the end of the game can still be a little jank, but the majority of the game feels very in your control. There's no, like, random breakaway or back in a Rainmaker or Climb Blitz, Kraken jumping or anything like that. It doesn't have any instantly you lose points to something cheesy factor. I've talked about it a bit before, but I don't have as big an issue with the last 30 seconds of Turf because of Cooler. Though I am worried double Cooler will eventually become way too good in Turf, but that would lead to a bad meta, but I think that's something we have to see before I discuss it further. My issue is more that I think proportionally the way objective works is why I don't like it. In my opinion, I think that the entire time of the game should matter equally proportionally. I think if a team holds mid for 2 minutes, that they should be rewarded for it proportionally. And I'm not trying to say, just to be clear, that they're not rewarded for it. Like, obviously, if you hold mid for 2 minutes, and then you go into the last minute of the game, you have an advantage over the team that didn't. But I don't think that advantage is as strong as it should be for holding for 2 minutes. I think if you hold for 2 minutes, the other team should have to hold for 2 minutes and 1 second. That's generally how I think things work, and that's how most of the objectives work. If I push to 2 on tower control, the opponent has to push to 1. If I get the score down to 13 on zones, the opponent has to get a score down to 12. Turf War fundamentally does not have that. What happened earlier in the game does not matter if the end of the game is different. It has an doesn't matter. It doesn't matter proportionally. And I think that's Turf War's biggest argument, outside of adding more map mode combos to competitive. But we'll get to that second one first. So, I know Jared's had a lot of stuff to where he doesn't mind this, so why do you think this isn't as big a problem?
Would you ask?
Like, the whole proportional problem thing. Why do you think it's not as big a deal?
It's not a big deal because like in the last positional advantage, like that's a thing in like every other mode as well, especially zones. So like if you're like holding zero, your background noise. I can't hear myself think.
You're called out.
Yeah,
I can't even hear
but like I could hear it, and okay. Basically like when you have a better position, let's say you're on Scorch and you have better map advantage, better height. In the last 30 seconds, you're most likely gonna win the fight if you keep your special rotations going. Like, I know it's different compared to other modes, but I don't think you need some crazy advantage just for winning the game longer. I just feel like having a slight advantage matters. I don't know, that's what makes it unique compared to the other modes.
I mean, yeah, but something being unique doesn't make it good.
Well, we can say the same with Clan Blitz and Wingmaking.
I mean, I would agree with you in those though.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of them right now, so I mean, I would same margin.
It's like getting the first checkpoint on Wingmaking. You know how much of a crazy advantage that is compared
Yeah,
to
huge,
like.
of course.
Yeah, but that's not fair. And like, it's not fair at all. Like, it doesn't feel fair. Because anything can, like, you can just like die from like one mistake, and then you get like you lose checkpoint, and then you can stall the game. You can just stall for so long. At least in like Turf War, like you get your advantage, and it's still like you're in advantage, but it's not too much an advantage where the game's free for you. It's not handed to you on a silver plate.
Yeah, you still have to work with your advantage. It's not, your advantage is, here you go, you have a checkpoint now. I can go sit in the bottom right with a fish.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. The other issue, which is one I don't see talked about as much, is right now we're having a giant discussion on what modes we play and if we want to do zones only and zones preferred and all that kind of stuff. You know, Fuzzy and Gray had their own little, I think it was like a 3-hour talk about zones only stuff. And now, if Turf War gets in, we now have to introduce a 5th mode with a 5th set of different map modes we need to do, and then that problem gets even worse. And I mean, that doesn't apply for what I think people want from Turf right now, which is some Turf-only tournaments to happen. Which that, I think, is totally fine. And in fact, that's kind of what I think we should do. Like, I think if there is a demand for Turf, then people can try running a few series that are Turf-only and then see if teams play that. But I don't know if it's good to mix Turf in with all of the other modes we have right now in our standard tournaments. I think Turf should be its own
feels very
thing.
standalone.
That's what I think. I think it functions as a
I think so
standalone.
too. It shouldn't be combined with other modes, and if you are, you should do with like some of the Nintendo tournaments too, where like you have to play a best of 3 Turf War to get 1 point in a set.
Yeah, that's a super good
I
format.
feel like that's more fair.
Because like,
Yeah, well, if
imagine
they include
playing...
Turf with that, that's fine. But the problem with that format is that adds a lot of runtime to a tournament. You turn
That's true.
a 5-minute match into 9 minutes, and that's not counting picking your weapons and map every single time. You're likely turning a 5-minute match into 12 to 15 minutes, which, like, for EU champs is reasonable, or, like, smaller invitational stuff, but you can't do that in a large tournament.
Well, you shouldn't
You're
be
just gonna
doing
try
that
to
in
win the
like
whole
top 8
tournament.
or top 4. It should be like losers finals, grand finals, winner finals kind of thing. Top
Yeah.
3.
Another idea I remember that people might also consider as another compromise, I don't remember what tournament series did this, but I remember there was one tournament series that had Turf War to decide who gets to counterpick Game 1.
I was
so
gonna
Game
say
1
that.
wouldn't be a set
I
map,
remember that.
but there would be a
Wasn't that
Turf
a PAX
battle, and whoever won Turf counterpick Game 1, and you had a normal BO5. That only
No.
adds one 3-minute Turf War game, and it makes the BO5 after more interesting, and it's not worth as much as winning on the other modes. That, I think, is, if you were to put Turf into mainstream tournaments, I think that would be the easiest way to do it. But even then, we would now need to have the discussion of, okay, which Turf War maps do we put in tournaments? Which is going to be a lot harder because people don't actually play them. And some of them are way different. Like, Bluefin doesn't have a right side in Turf War. Humpback actually has a way better layout in Turf War. It's more connected on the sides.
What the Nintendo tournaments do is just they do the base 5 maps and then they just add like 2 random maps depending on like the season. I think the base 5 maps is actually really fair for Turf War. Besides Yelta, we can get rid of it.
I think we should
It
get rid of
needs to be
Scorch, too.
obliterated.
But, I mean, like, Haggle Turf is fine, stuff like that. I think Humpback would be one I want to include. And then, obviously,
Oh,
Ramen.
not!
Humpback
No,
Turf is
no,
good.
no!
Humpback,
No,
is
no,
this
no.
Splatoon 2?
I like Humpback Turf.
What game are we playing?
Okay. My controversial take aside, Ramen is one I think we can agree on.
I'm starting to hate ramen, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I haven't
No
played
fucking
Ramen
way
since-
you don't like Ramen.
I'm starting to hate it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to hate it. I think
You're
it's
insane.
dog garbage on zones.
You're insane.
No, I'm not.
Alright. The ramen overrated era has already begun, damn. 2024
I'm
hitting.
shocked.
2024 is the year of Ramen's downfall. But yeah, I mean, I think as it stands right now, solo events, maybe try it as a game 1 counterpick thing if you want to do that for like top 4 stuff. I don't think any teams would particularly mind, even those that don't like turf. But it's another thing where I think we have to start out with it. But yeah, turf war is being considered, and of course Japan. For those who don't know, Japan has Koshien, which is their kind of qualifier thing for Worlds, but it's much bigger, and that is entirely turf war. And so Japan has played a lot of turf war, and that's why we have so much data on turf war. There are a lot of good JP players and teams that have been practicing and doing tournaments with it. So, I think that's important.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the, like, before game 1, who gets the counter pick turf war, because that makes it matter so much less than the other modes, but it still gives it such a big importance to the match.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest, the coin flip was better. That was the best thing I've ever done in my
Coin
life.
flip?
You know what I mean?
Gambling versus turf war.
And Nintendo did coin flip, yeah.
Wait, was that?
That is true.
I forgot about that.
So they did a coin flip, and because of it, we get counterpicked in turf war.
NT.
I don't want to think about that ever being.
No.
I want you to know that. I just want you to know.
I've
They
been to
still
a
do
Nintendo
that. They
event.
still do that.
You know.
The last time I went to a Nintendo event, we didn't even know what team we were fighting until one day before the tournament. They wouldn't tell you if we were changing the seating or not. See, I know they pull some shit. I'm aware. But yeah. I've also played the best of 1 tower control random map tournament where I got Maul 5 times. That was another experience I don't remember.
Oh, that's so long ago.
Yeah, I remember we almost qualified for it, but we got dodged. And back then you could dodge teams and it wouldn't lose you the set. Good times.
Let's hear it for potentially tournament manager from Nintendo.
Yeah, it's gotten better though. They've gone.
Yeah, they've
in all
gotten better.
seriousness,
I
Nintendo,
know,
every year they get better at it. They are learning.
Yeah,
it's just a
that-
little
I'm saying.
slow, but
I was serious.
you know,
Like,
to
I
give
think
Nintendo some
I
credit.
think they're cooking. I think they're cooking.
No, they didn't cook with something recently. I'm not gonna talk about that.
All right.
Okay.
We all know what that is. We all know what that is.
I don't.
Ramen zones, right? That's what.
No. It's not a map. It's not a map.
Anyways.
You'll have to write it in the chat when this is done, or but for now, I think we'll have to move to the last discussion, which is so recently I've been seeing a lot of players talking about Range Blaster. I know Jared made a tweet saying it could be top 5, which I think that's a little bit of copium, but I'm in the top 10 category, so I'm not far off from you. I saw Goss made a tweet saying it's like secretly broken. Volty made some tweet about it as well. I don't know. And people have been talking about Range being good. At the same time, Roller's been talked about being good. This has been mostly from my tier list bringing it up, and it's won a lot in Japan. And I've been trying to say for a while that I think Roller is good, like even before the buffs and the results.
No, I think Roller's good too, yeah.
And a lot of the more casual base, but some higher level as well, has been kind of surprised by these weapons being seen as really good in this game. And I think it's kind of exposed a problem I want to talk about, which is Splatoon 2 bias. I think that this scene has a tendency to rate weapons with how good they are, and has bias based on how good they were in Splatoon 2. I think this is true for both over and underrating weapons. I think too many people think about how good a weapon was in Splatoon 2 and use that to think about how good things are in this game. And that is what Range and Roller are subject to, because those weapons were, and I don't, some people are going to dispute me on this term, unplayable in that game. At the end of the game, if you wanted to win, you would not pick Roller or Range Blaster. You could not pick the weapons and win. I don't think you could. And so I think because of that, people think it's bad now.
At the top level now.
Yeah, top level no. Lower than that, of course. But like, I've seen people try. I know Shimoto played a lot of Grim at the end of Splatoon 2 and did not place higher than top 4 with it. Which is still pretty admirable because it's Grim in S2. But like, point being, I don't think it would have won. Ever.
And so, you gotta talk about what changed. What makes them so much better now than they used to be.
Do we want to start with Roller or Range? Or just, I guess both kind of have the same reasons. Who wants to lead this off, I guess?
I think so.
About Range?
Yeah, Zero, why don't you talk about Range? You played a little bit.
Let's Zero talk about Range.
Yeah, I have. You know what? I have. I played a lot of it,
I actually haven't played it. It's 0.
Yeah, no,
I'm not gonna lie.
It's Zero's
I'm not
been
gonna lie.
playing solo.
Joe insults inside and me just being tilted. The weapon actually is disgusting. If
Bro
you have
removed
proper,
my mod over praising range.
I'm sure about it. I was so angry. I was like, dude. I don't know. Especially with the way it's used, I think it's a good spacing weapon and can be played as an aggro, like super aggro. And honestly, I don't know. I agree with Jared, and we'll say it's a top 5 when it comes to that category. But the weapon is broken. The fact that you can just immediately jump around, direct someone, and then space another player out, and then hit them twice, and you just change the whole tide of the game.
Okay, let me talk about why you can just jump around and shoot people now. It's just IA and cooler.
IA cooler. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Intensify action.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't ever have cooler because whenever I play ranked, there's no one with cooler. No one runs it anymore. But IA is strong. What was it? You told me, Char, that it was like 3 subs?
Yes, 3 subs IA is the standard now. It took a while for people to figure it out.
I didn't know
Point
that.
3 is basically the standard now for every
I used
rank.
point 1 because I didn't have gear, so I was just using
Yeah, and I'm
1,
like, dude,
and
point 1 is not a thing on blasters unless if you pick Luna. You cannot
I think
do
still
that.
worked though. I think still worked. That weapon was still hitting heads. It was doming people left and right. It did not matter.
And flying to the far left, still getting a ton of damage and a ton of AoE.
So,
It's so ridiculous.
outside of the game-specific reasons to kind of add to this point, because this is what we're talking about in terms of why I can do that, range needs to be able to do that to be a weapon. Range is not a weapon if it cannot jump and shoot. And the reason is because range has horrible mobility. And what happened in Splatoon 2 is you couldn't jump and shoot. So you would... Let me demonstrate this on stream, actually, while I have the ability to show things off. In Splatoon 2, when range would, like... Let's say it wanted around a corner, for instance. Hold on. I'm pulling it up. You guys won't be able to see.
He's pulling it up on stream.
If range wanted around a corner in Splatoon 2, you would have to shoot forward to paint for yourself, then round that corner, then shoot, because you couldn't lift your feet off the ground. In Splatoon 3, you jump around the corner and you shoot 1 time. Which means there's no window to see what they're doing. Before, you would see them shoot, and then swim, and pop out. And now, they can just pop out, jump, shoot, and because they're jumping and moving, the shot paints their feet, and you have a weapon that can actually move. It's still slow, but it can move. And it needs to move, because we made shooters faster, and we made buckets faster, and we made dualies faster, and we made a pencil that's a charger that's faster, and we put ballpoint in the game that's faster. We... mobility crept everything else in the game. And so, yeah, range needs to be able to jump and shoot. Because everything else can run circles around it if it can't. And in this game, because of Intensify, and even more because of Cooler, because with Cooler, you can swim and run and jump and then land an enemy ink and still be okay because of ink res. Ink res with Cooler is arguably even more insane in range than the Intensify is. Nobody realizes it. Your mobility with it is insane. And that alone changes so much for Range Blaster right now. So much for it. And that's not even talking about the fact that there's no fucking armor in the game. The meta is quick respawn. There's very little splat bomb weapons, so you can't run the sub that kills it. There's no Kunder in the game, so you can't pick Kunder against it. Like, all the matchups work for it. It works well with Pencil. It just fits the game perfectly now. And that's something I want to get at, where, like, Splatoon 3 as a game is closer to Splatoon 1 than it is Splatoon 2. And so this Splatoon 2 logic doesn't work because, if anything, range fits closer to what it does in S1 than it does in 2. It doesn't play like S2 Grim at all. And I think it's just nobody has realized how big of a difference it really is. And I'm not saying range is a perfect weapon, but, like, it's changed a lot more than people think.
I still feel like it has counters anyway. Like, if you play a mobility weapon like shot or dually or something, or 52, you still can run it down. And,
that's part of why I think it's not actually top 5, because the West doesn't actually know how to counterpick Range Blaster, because they never want to play with Range Blaster. They've never picked comps that Range Blaster likes, or tried to play in the way Range Blaster likes, so nobody has any experience with it. And we have this discussion because someone in Japan got to do it, because Japan actually cares.
We all suck, sorry.
And it's the same thing with roller, by the way. Why are there no top-level roller players? Because nobody wants to play with a roller. Nobody wants to learn roller comps or do it. It's not like there haven't been good roller players in the past. There were. I remember in Splatoon 2, there was Banana on Kraken Paradise. And the second KP stopped playing with roller, nobody else would do it.
Yeah,
and Banana switched weapons.
But I also feel like there's a huge difference when it comes to skill and mechanics for like JP and us. Like, no offense, we all suck compared to them. Melon's 4K running it down with 52, and he changed the entire game.
Yes, of course, but also, of course they are. They can actually practice solo ranked. Until recently, we haven't even been able to play solo queue without having to wait 200 years for a single match against not actually good JP players, because that's not how the matchmaking works. We're fucked from the beginning. And also, I mean, all the Range Blaster players, like, here's a fun guessing game. Name one good Range Blaster player from, like, over the years. Like, a top player in Splatoon 2, and a Range Blaster player who played range in S2.
ProChara.
No, who picked the gun in S2. I did not pick it.
The one, ProChara.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Kyo would not pick that weapon. I would not pick it. Pangit never picked it back then, because Pangit was the top range back then. Pangit didn't pick it either. Pangit played Machine. Ben picked V-Blaster for a bit, but never picked range, like, after the very beginning of the game. Who picked it? No one.
Me. You
did not pick it. You picked
Not
it.
him.
You had a fun time with Enperry until they killed it.
Yep.
I had a fun time whenever you front line.
But there were no top-level Range Blaster players who played range. Because at that level, all of them would rather pick something that would actually work. And so all of the Range Blaster players have to play catch-up now if they decide to go back to it. And most of them don't go back to it. Kyo doesn't play that much range right now. Maybe he will later, but he doesn't do it as much. A lot of the S1 players aren't actually in the game. Like, there's a few players I named in the S1 section that don't play the game anymore. So there's just not a lot of them left. So, like, that's why the mechanics and stuff are way worse, because everyone's either playing catch-up or quit the game or had 5 years where they couldn't pick the game. Or pick the weapon. And so, like, of course it's there. And then on top of that, no one wants to play Range Blaster comps. Do you know how many times I've done pickups and asked for, like, someone to play a painting gun, and people wouldn't pick it? How many pickups I've done that don't have paint?
I just realized Madness played range. I feel like Madness played range.
Did he play
Yeah, but
it? Was he a top player?
Your team is also
when
that type
he
of
was a top
team.
player in S2, did he pick
Not
range?
on SC, I'm talking about
No,
recently.
you played it.
Yeah, recently he's picked it. But I mean, that's the thing where I'm saying. Like, now, well, yeah, range is Madness plays range in Tower now, but I don't know if he plays it outside of Tower. He could, though, if he wants. Probably work with y'all. But, I mean, that's the situation. That's why there aren't a lot of them. It's all those...
No, Jackpot does the same thing everyone else does. They lose once, I'm taking off the weapon. Get off that weapon.
Yeah, and of course range is hard, but I don't think range is, like, inconsistent levels of hard. The only thing I think makes it, like, super inconsistent is the fact that you don't have the special to fall back on. Like, you can't... Like, as a Rapid player, if you're having a really bad game with Rapid, you can just play for Pack. And Pack will help you do decently. You cannot do that with range. That's the one thing range doesn't have that makes it hard, is there is no... If you're not killing people and walling out space, you have nothing else you can do. So you're just going to be bad. You have to be good enough to mechanically perform well.
Exactly. It's such a skill check weapon to fight against and play.
But, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. Like, I think these weapons are good, but I think the Western scene has to be open to it first. And I'm glad people are open to it now.
We don't have a lot of players anymore, that's the thing.
And
we're just...
Yeah.
We just don't have players. Like, Japan has double our competitive scene.
Double is an understatement.
This is more than double.
It's way more than double.
More than, yeah, you know that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more.
The proportion of top-level players is not common.
Yeah.
And then on top of that is just mindset and all that other stuff. And also, Japan plays zones only, and guess what? Range is way better in zones only. You want to see how range is when you get to Rainmaker? It's not good.
Want to see my
huge
Rainmaker and defense?
Anything when you get into Rainmaker is not cool. It's not.
Yeah, because Rainmaker has the worst weapon diversity of any mode by a landslide.
It's the worst fucking mode ever.
Alright guys, let's just not play Rainmaker and play every other mode, okay?
I know, right?
Let's do that.
But I mean, I think it'll get better, but I think people need to be open to actually letting people pick these weapons at times, and that's a problem we have. And it's been a bit better, but like, for example, Bamboo is another weapon I think is really underrated and underlooked. And we do actually have a player for them named Red Run. But it's one guy doing it, and he's the only reason a lot of people realize that Bamboo is actually pretty good in this game, because no one picks it. We need to have an environment where more players like that can exist, and we actually pick comps around them. But we don't. And I don't know how that's going to change. But I think people should be able to... I think there should be a better understanding of comp building, and that would make it a lot better. Because then we could actually understand why a lot of the weapons are good. I think that would help a lot.
Agreed.
That being said, also, like, counterplay is the same thing. The reason I don't think range is top 5 is I think it does have a good bit of counters in this game, but people don't know what they are because we never fight Range Blaster. But Zero mentioned one of them, which is 52. V52 is a very good counter pick to it. Wall in general is a good counter pick. Squeezer's another one that works very well into it.
When I used to play against it, my first instinct was, this weapon has horrible mobility. Let me run it down.
Yeah, run it down with a wall so it can't AoE you, and then you're good. Yeah. But like Zero, also, of course you know how to do it. You played Splatoon 1. You've played against good Range Blaster players, even if it was a long time ago. The majority of people, including some people in this VC, are not Splat 1 veterans.
Yeah, weirdos! You two weirdos! What's wrong with you? Jared, looking at you.
Only one of them did it. Didn't Jared
no,
play S1?
Jared, no, he didn't.
Jared did not play S1?
I didn't play S1.
Damn.
Wow.
Get a Wii U, bro. There's a few months left.
I have the game, I have a Wii U, but I'm
You gotta experience peak.
I'm not gonna lie, he knows. He's gonna touch the game and he's gonna never want to get on 3 again.
Yeah, that's the one curse. Once you play S1, it's like, oh god. Everything's uneven. What am I going back to? What did I do wrong?
I played 2, Chara, and I didn't even want to get on that one. I didn't even want to get on 3 after playing 2.
Yeah, you're insane for that one.
There was
actually, to be fair,
no
there's a lot of
front
lines in S2. I can understand.
There was no Ray. There was no Ray happening.
Yeah, we did.
No, it was
of course, because it was a casual PB.
Exactly.
You have to play comp S2 to feel miserable. Casual S2 can still be fun.
Listen, I felt like a JJK character at peace.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, there could be more underrated weapons like that. Currently, I think Bucket's one of them. It's not an S1 weapon, but I think Bucket is extremely underrepresented. I think Bucket is
a broken weapon.
Bucket does 70 damage with the most giant hitbox, and it doesn't require spacing. And it has a combo out of it with a bomb, and it can hit you over walls, and then, like, what the fuck? That weapon's so good.
I'm just happy we don't have Bomb Rush anymore. Imagine Bomb Rush Bucket.
I don't want it.
Exactly.
So, like, I think there's other cases like that, and I think it's good to... I guess the main lesson I would say here is throw out your Splatoon 2 bias. There isn't Ink Armor, there isn't Old Missile, there's an actual fighting meta, there's Intensify Action, there's Functioning Ninja Squid, all that stuff. There are reasons to where we can have weapons that were bad in Splatoon 2 and they work in this game. That's what I'm gonna say.
Real. Fighting weapon, good in fighting meta.
Yes. And also just
AOE,
S3 is closer to Splatoon 1 than 2 in how the game plays. It's not the same as S1, but it's closer to it. Is there any other weird weapon you want to talk about? Jared, you got some underrated weapon, right? CDS still good, right? No?
Oh, don't remind me of CDS. Forget Jared. I'm the one crying about it.
Next patch, they buff Super Chump. It's gonna be CDS this time.
Dude, just puff the BDS. I don't want to play chumps. I want to play the one with the bomb.
They ain't gonna buff the main gun. Sorry, you were an MPU damage weapon in Splatoon 2? Sorry. We don't buff those.
Yeah, let's fucking buff Nautilus, so that's fair.
Yeah, let's buff the broken weapon.
It needed it, bro. It needed it.
The coughing baby? No. The coughing baby can pick that weapon up and be better than the hydrogen bomb. Just want to mention that.
I miss CDS so much. That weapon's so cool.
You miss it?
Yes! I didn't even play it, but I loved fighting it. Yeah!
You miss it?
Yes!
I miss it. I want that weapon back. More than Gingery. I'd flip it out for that weapon.
It's having a crisis.
It's broke up a bit in VC. Crisis.
This is my baby. I want that shit back.
It'll be back.
And now it has Wavebreaker.
I'm fine with that. I don't care. Just give it to me.
I think if the gun were good, the kits would be fine. The kits aren't that bad. But the gun needs to be a gun. Or they need to make Chump really good.
I think Wavebreaker isn't as bad. I just think the fact that CDS sucks.
I just parried 3 of my shots and oh my god. Like, this weapon's so bad.
Are you playing CDS right now?
Yeah, I was literally playing it right now, and some guy parried 3 of the shots and lives when he's one tap. Somehow. I don't even fucking know.
Pea shooter gun.
Oh yeah,
they have bamboo. You're right though. They have buff bamboo. They gave bamboo its 14 shots back.
I don't know why they would do that.
It reads it in this game. It doesn't have damage.
Yeah. I think it's fair in this game.
I don't want to deal with bamboos again. That meta was horrible. Like, horrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Wait,
I don't know.
what? I thought you said you liked CDS, not the
No,
MPU meta.
bamboo.
Yeah, but like they were all in the MPU meta.
Okay, I can like CDS doesn't mean I have to like bamboo.
Oh, I thought you said you liked the sort of meta because that's when CDS
Oh,
was.
I
good.
like the weapons in that meta. I do not like the meta itself. The meta was horrible. Everything killed you instantly because of damage up. It was annoying as fuck. But the weapons in them were cool. H3 was cool. CDS was cool. Brella was cool. I like the weapons.
K-Pro was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you hated Brella. I know why you hated Brella.
No, I said K-Pro.
Oh, K-Pro.
I said K-Pro.
Oh, K-Pro was not part of that meta, bro. K-Pro was dead meta.
No, it wasn't. Don't say that.
Like a power control weapon only. Back then.
No, I did it in zones. I rocked everyone's shit in zones.
3K K-Pro.
I did.
That is true.
What a gun. Yeah. Shadow, do you have anything to say about these weapons, I guess?
Anti-Umbrella! No. That's all I got.
Well, 10 could have been one of them for a bit. People were like high-key underrating 10 for a while. I remember.
People are underrating 10 right now.
Though to be fair, it also had like old vac. I mean, people are underrating 10 right now. I think 10 could be
It's
top
super
5.
good.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know about top
no.
5, but
Torello 10 is crazy. Torello
I don't
10
know
is
about-
fucking crazy.
It's just top 10. Top 10.
yeah.
Top 10 for
that's
sure.
fair.
I could see a top 5.
I don't know about
My-
that.
My top 5 right now is like Pencil, both Squeezers, Stamper, and I don't know what my 5th weapon would be right
Yeah,
now.
try putting the 10 in that.
And maybe Sorrel 10 with that. I think Squeezer's broken as hell, but no one's ready for that, I guess. Somehow. You know, it's been
Everybody
broken
knows
for-
it's broken. It's just it's hard to run in comps still.
Yeah, buff H3. Dude, I remember, this is like unrelated, but I talked about like Pencil being a necessity, and Jared said like if only there were a mid-range cooler shooter, and I think every H3 player died on the inside knowing we forgot.
Yeah, I forgot about it. It's so bad.
That's why I replied, I'm like, don't worry, dude, the devs also forgot. You're not alone in this one. They have not cared about that weapon. They gave it like a fall-off damage buff. That's it.
Man,
It's like the
I gotta
weakest
feel
thing.
bad for the H3 players.
I do too.
Except
That
for
weapon was so
one
fucking cool.
Yeah.
H3 was like the coolest support to ever exist. We'll never have peak like it again. There's never been a support weapon as cool as H3. There never will. Probably. Maybe Reflux could be there. Reflux is kind of cool.
No.
When it's
Nah.
not botting.
Nah, nothing beats H3's Pachink!
I remember I used to play range when it didn't have the sound effect. I bet so many people don't know that though. H3 used to not have a sound effect for a one shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a patch that just got added randomly.
That was a buff. I
That was
remember
with
people
all of them.
talking
H3
about it
too.
like
H3
Nintendo's
didn't have
trying to
that.
trick you into playing H3. Don't do it.
No, H3 didn't have that crazy sound either. They changed it after one point.
Hey, that's what we just said.
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
said, bro.
No, I just heard range. I was like, what? I was like,
No,
no, H3 also had it.
H3.
And then they reused that sound to give it to the bows. Yeah, the bow one-shot sound is H3 sound. It was originally on H3. It was like H3 exclusive in S2, and then in this game it applies to bows. I guess it's like the sound for hitting 3 shots near instantly. So, kind of unique. Give it to
It's
Blot.
It's just
Blot could have
ASMR.
it too.
No, I
Blot
don't
should
want
have a
that.
bubble pop sound effect. If you hit all 4. That could be cool. Yeah, I don't know. This is a bit of a shorter episode. We didn't have as much to talk about, really, because
Nothing's happening.
no, there's been no...
Bernie's.
It is kind of holidays. There's also the... I know some TOs are dealing with, at least from what I saw on Twitter a little bit, which is licenses. So, you know, there's licenses, there's holidays and all that stuff, but hopefully things will start to pick up going into the next season. So, yeah. Alright, though.
Right.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or are we good for this episode, I guess?
That's a good episode right there.
There wasn't much to talk about.
Yay, range blaster guy!
Yeah,
Don't nerf range and give me spot bomb Kraken, it would be fair. Thanks!
No, we're not.